Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am.
Nino Brown Boxing, and I'm back in the building. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Yeah, guys, I know I'm not dropping videos like that. And honestly, at this point in time, boxing is just getting boring to me. But sometime yesterday, the PBC, they dropped their schedule for 2019, I guess like up till April. And me personally, man, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed at all. It's some okay / decent fights on there, but the way that they kicked the year off to me is absolutely horrible, and I think it's robbery. The fact that you have a Pacquiao versus an Adrian Broner fighting for a regular WBA title, a regular title on pay-per-view, I believe it's completely ridiculous. One being Adrian Broner does not deserve to be on anybody's pay-per-view. Between the recent losses and the draws that he's had, he doesn't deserve to be on anyone's pay-per-view. Manny Pacquiao, old dusty-ass Manny Pacquiao, WBA regular champion, beat Lucas Matisse, and prior to that was a loss to Jeff Horn. Like, these two guys are on pay-per-view. Like, within their last 3 fights, both of these guys took an L. Adrian Broner against Mikey Garcia, and Jeff Horn for Manny Pacquiao. And they want us to pay. The first major fight of 2019 is a pay-per-view between these two. I think it's complete robbery. Another thing that pissed me off is the Leo Santa Cruz Gary Russell fight. That's not a thing. Leo, to my, like, all of this stuff is off top of my head. I think Leo Santa Cruz is fighting Flores, and like, I'm trying to figure out, once again, obviously I don't know all of the details, but Leo Santa Cruz versus Gary Russell definitely should have been a fight that got made for 2019. To me, it's absolute bullshit that this fight wasn't created. Then you have the Sean Porter Ugas fight. I mean, that's an okay fight. Some people may disagree with that, and some people may think it's horrible. Some people may think it's great. I feel like it would be entertaining at the lowest level that you can call a fight entertaining. That's how I feel. I put that on the same level as Julian J. Rock Williams versus the Nathaniel Gallimore fight, but now it's just a WBC title on line. It's nothing too exciting. To me, it's average. Then, I mean, they have had a number of other fights that they mentioned. I mean, obviously, we got the Errol Spence Mikey Garcia fight on pay-per-view. And to me, even with that, these pay-per-view, I mean, I said it in the live stream last night in the comment section. I said, these pay-per-views are money grabs. They're money grab fights. They hold no real significance in boxing. The only thing they do is pretty much make the fans pay extra cash. Now, granted, I'll have no problem paying for the Errol Spence Mikey Garcia fight. Both of these guys are undefeated, and Mikey Garcia called out Errol Spence. But it doesn't get us any step closer to undisputed. So if that's not the case, it holds no real significance. Now, I want to see who's going to be on the undercard, especially with the Manny Pacquiao Adrian Broner fight, because I have a feeling the undercard is going to be garbage. There's plenty of guys out here that I would love to see fight, and I have a feeling they're not going to be fighting the first half of the year. I mean, a fight, it's just certain fighters out here that are never born. They're always in an exciting fight, but I seriously doubt it. People that we haven't seen in a while, I don't see it. I mean, like a young guy like Erickson Lubin, him coming back. And if you want to put a young guy like that on an undercard, match him up against a pretty decent fighter, I think that would start to pique my interest. But at this moment in time, I haven't heard anything like that, any noise about the undercards. And I just feel like the fights that have been announced overall, you take the average, and I would give it a D plus, C minus at best. It's like I'm just not impressed. Now I was watching multiple videos early this morning. Dante Boxer Nation, Fred from Barbershop Conversation. Shout out to those guys. They interviewed Keith Thurman, and I appreciate. I don't know if it's the same interview because I didn't finish the Dante's Boxer Nation interview, but I finished Fred's, and I can appreciate the fact that Fred he was actually asking Keith Thurman genuine questions, unlike you know, unlike Ellie in the video, he was tiptoeing around a lot of stuff, but whatever. But I appreciate the fact that Fred basically came out to Keith Thurman and said, well, what about the fans? That you're basically not in their favor right now. How do you feel about it? And Keith Thurman was like, well, man, I don't care. I don't care. They're haters. Fred put it out there. He was like, well, wait. Those guys, they're spending money. And to me, I feel like, it could have went a little deeper. But basically, he was telling Keith Thurman, I'm like, you say, why would you, Keith Thurman was saying, why would I miss all of this time and I'm missing out on money? Those guys are haters. And Fred was like, well, a lot of those guys aren't just haters. They're the consumer. They're spending money. And I wish you would have dove a little bit deeper and saying, well, you're saying that you want this money, and these consumers, they are spending money to see you fight. Forget the haters or whoever you believe that they're only haters. What about the people that have this opinion of you and they're spending money? How do you go about, or how do you feel about getting back in their good graces? Do you care? Now, I could have taken it as Keith Thurman say he doesn't care, but at the same time, he also said something later on in the interview about, a lot of these people, they just miss Keith Thurman, this, and that. And I'm not doubting that at all. I'm sure that's the case. We all know that Keith Thurman, when he's active, is a top welterweight, one of the top guys in the division. Now he's going back to his old catchphrase of saying, he got he's not afraid to let it go. If you can beat me, beat me. But my whole thing with that is, in order for that to happen, fights have to be accepted. Now, fights aren't going to be accepted, and you're going to fight people that you know you can beat or people that you've beaten before. To me, yes, I understand anything's possible, but it really doesn't carry much weight if you look at it like, if you can beat me, or take my O. Now, one thing about Keith Thurman that I definitely did appreciate was his transparency in breaking down the body shot situation against Luis Collazo. And when he was basically saying that if that punch had any more power on it, he definitely would have went down. He definitely would have taken a knee. Now, most fighters, they wouldn't say anything like that. They wouldn't be that transparent. So I can appreciate that about him. He broke down his mind frame in the Sean Porter fight when Sean Porter caught him to the body and he started to retreat. He gave Sean Porter his props, and he went into detail about Sean Porter's footwork and the foot drills that they practice in camp, and how Sean Porter was able to stay on him consistently even though Keith Thurman was trying to get away. He also made a great point, and a point that I really did agree with, when he said that Sean Porter's had a better performance losing against Keith Thurman than he had winning against Danny Garcia. And me personally, I agree with that 100%. I feel like the Sean Porter that showed up against Keith Thurman would have destroyed that version of Danny Garcia that he was in the ring against. But that's just my summary for the boxing that I've, been paying attention to in the last 24 hours. Like, once again, I don't feel like this lineup of fights is not impressive to me at all. I did see a Lamont Peterson versus a Sergey Lipinets fight. I feel like that's a pretty good fight. Me personally, this lineup would have been better if, instead of a Lamont Peterson fighting a Lipinets, Lamont Peterson fighting Keith Thurman. And I say that because it helps gauges Keith Thurman and Errol Spence in the future. And, man, it's just a lot of talk, a lot of waiting around. Based off the fights that are in place right now, none of these fights are of any major significance. Honestly, the only fight that actually has some meaning towards it is the Sean Porter Ugas fight, for the simple fact, if I'm not mistaken, that's a mandatory. So if that's a mandatory fight, you got to deal with the mandatory situation anyway. I say that gets you semi close. It's not one step closer. It's more of a half step closer. And since it gets you a half step closer, I'll give him his props on that. He handling his business. It puts him in a position where he can have a voluntary fight, even though um, unification is supposed to trump mandatory, but the WBC, they're outraged with this mandatory bullshit. So I say I appreciate the fact that he's knocking out one of his mandatories and he didn't try to ask for an exemption to get a voluntary, then have to fight a mandatory, and then have to fight another mandatory since the WBC want to make him have two. But yeah, but outside of that, man, that's my overall opinion. We haven't heard anything for Tank Davis, and I mean, Jared Hurd has a fight 2018 still. Charlo has a fight 2018, so obviously they're not going to make dates for those guys yet. I have to look back into it. I mean, a lot of the guys are like at 154, younger guys at 147, and I wonder what the hell is going on with Gary Russell, Tank, Abner Mares, stuff like that. I mean, we'll find out eventually, guys. It's Nino Brown Boxing. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. I'm out.